Go ahead.
So sometimes it's easy for us to feel weak and lonely. However, even though we might feel alone, God is always with us. Now this might sound really cheesy, but whenever you feel weak, you can find your strength in God. So my verse today is Psalms 46, verse 1 through 3. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. Waves roar and foam, and mountains quake. I chose this verse because I find a lot of comfort in it personally, and I believe we can all find comfort in this verse too. In my speech, I will be talking about finding strength in God because that will be the main theme. So as I just mentioned, the main theme is going to be strength. And when I say strength, I don't necessarily mean physical strength. I'm aiming for more towards the mental, emotional, and spiritual strength, and I found this in the Lutheran Study Bible. So the history of Psalms is actually quite confusing because, as many of you know, it's a really, really big book. So there's many authors. It was hard to pinpoint the exact author of this verse particularly, but it was David and Solomon were one of the two. But I'm going to focus more on David for the sake of the speech. So David was a king, poet, prophet, and a warrior. That was in the Lutheran Study Bible. And during this time, it was the Babylonian exile. Now, once again, as I mentioned, it's really a confusing book, and it's hard to pinpoint exact information. So the span of when it might have been written is really around 1,000 years, but they do know it's around the Babylonian exile. So some other verses I chose is, mind my pronunciation, is Nehemiah 8 verse 10, and that is, do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. As you can hear, it's more of a comfort verse, like don't worry because God is there. The next verse is Exodus 33 verse 14. My presence will go with you and I will give you rest. Once again, it was kind of like the first verse, but my favorite is this next one. Deuteronomy 33 verse 27. The eternal God is your refuge, and underneath are everlasting arms. Sorry, I kind of messed up. Let me repeat that one more time. The eternal God is our refuge, and underneath are everlasting arms. I like this one the most because I can kind of imagine, no matter what happens, God will always be there with open arms, and that's really nice for me. It's really comforting. So now I'm going to play you this video. This is my last verse that I'd like to show you, and I will sing along. It's from VBS 2004. Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be terrified, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Wherever you go. So it's honestly my favorite VBS song, just because I've known it for a while, and it's always stuck with me. It has a catchy tune, it's not that hard to sing, and it really gets the point across. So, one of the examples of strength within life is a story called Weakness and Strength. I'm gonna breeze through it because it's a really long story, but it's about this boy, and he was doing a type of martial art, but his teacher only gave him one move. Now, throughout his whole competition, he was like, I'm not gonna win, I only know one move. But the teacher was there for him the whole time, like, you got this, you can do it. And in the end, he ended up winning the whole competition. The boy was like, why did I win? I only know one move. And the teacher said, well, you learned the most complicated move in all of the martial art. And at first it's kind of confusing because you're like, how does this apply? But it shows how the boy didn't have faith, but his teacher was there for him and helped him lead through the competition and gave him that strength he really needed. So how can I apply this verse to our lives? So for believers, the first one is homesick. As many dorm students know, it's really easy to feel alone and away from home, especially because your whole other life is away or even in another country. And you can always look to this verse to know that you're not alone. God will always be there for you no matter what. Now the second example is more of a personal example. As many of you know, one of my friends is in the hospital, Clay, and he's really struggling. And I was talking to him about it, and he actually gave me this verse to do for my speech. he found a lot of comfort in it personally, and it's helped me a lot, especially with the situation, because I know God's looking out for him, and I know God's looking out for me, especially in this time of struggle, and it's just let me know that maybe right now I can't find the strength I need, but God will always be there for me. And for non-believers, even though you might not necessarily believe in God, it's a great verse for comfort. It's nice to know that someone's there for you. Even if it's not necessarily God, you can also think of it as a teacher or an adult will be there for you, or even friends. I know I will be there if you ever need anyone. So, to conclude, now that we've learned a lot, I would like to repeat the verse just one more time so you can let it sink in. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the hearts of the sea, though the waters roar and foam and the mountains quake. So, as I already mentioned many times before, this verse really shows how much God cares about us. It shows that no matter what we're going through, and I mean no matter what we're going through, God will always be there for us. He will pick us up and carry us even when we don't have enough strength to do that on our own. It gives you a lot of comfort and inner peace just knowing that you don't have to go through life alone. God will be there for you. You don't need to have all this strength to get through it, because God will also be there for you. I want you guys to take this verse in heart, and hopefully if you're ever going through a tough time, you can read through the verse and just know that everything's going to be okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause. Thank you, Ellie.